Ohayo, konnichiwa, konbanwa. Welcome back to JFTN Japan Fishing Tackle News. Today, we will be providing an impression and review of the 2023 DAIWA Legalis' sibling, the 2023 Lexa. Despite its low price, the Lexa is popular for its high cost-performance ratio. Please note that this impression and review are based on the personal opinions of the JFTN staff and do not represent the whole picture. Enjoy it as just one reference. The Lexa was first released in 2019 and gained popularity as a budget-friendly reel capable of handling tough conditions. In 2023, it was revamped with the air drive design concept. By the way, this time, we also purchased the LT4000 CXH along with the Legalis. As usual, the contents are as expected. The document is provided in both English and Japanese. Additionally, the body and handle are each packed in plastic bags. The handle is fixed, not movable, which is great for added strength. And here is the body. It has a very subdued color. Am I the only one who thinks it looks quite similar to the 2019 Certate? However, the texture of the Certate is undeniably superior. The finish on this reel feels more like a top coat applied over the base material. Also, many parts are quite similar to the Legalis, though there are minor differences like the placement of screws and the thickness of the reel foot. The air drive rotor is made from a budget-friendly carbon-containing material, Zion V. Since this is a saltwater reel, it's nice to see that it has a rubber cap on the handle connection, which is appreciated. However, the anti-reverse lever, it doesn't seem necessary for a reel meant for tough use. The body structure may be almost unchanged from the previous model, and it seems like there are quite a few reused parts. Let's give it a spin. Oh, it's surprisingly light. Despite being in the same price range and designed for tough use, it feels quite light. Although it's equipped with mag-sealed, the rotation seems a bit more straightforward compared to higher-end models. This might be because other noises are more noticeable than in the higher-end models, making the resistance of the mag-sealed less noticeable. However, the rotation is smooth. When you place them side by side, it becomes clear that the Legalis and Lexa are very similar. There are only minor differences and variations in coloring. I thought they might be made from different materials using the same mold, but the body shapes are slightly different, so it looks like different molds are used. However, the internal structure seems to be the same except for the presence of mag-sealed. The way the noise occurs during rotation and the sensation when the cam reaches the top are almost identical for both reels. The solid feel of the air drive rotor is really impressive. As I mentioned before, it seems to have moved quite close to Shimano's design. Here is the air rotor from the 2021 Legalis. In fact, it feels more solid compared to the JDM air rotor, but the air drive rotor is even more robust. The bail has been made considerably slimmer, almost resembling Shimano models. Additionally, the top part of the line roller is covered. This might be for preventing troubles. Let's check the rotor deflection. In the case of the air drive rotor, it feels lightweight and sufficient for its needs, but compared to the air rotor, there seems to be slightly less deflection on the line roller side. It might be that the air drive rotor is structurally stronger. Next, let's check the drag. Oh, it's quite small. Actually, hasn't it remained the same as before? The sound volume is similar to that of the 2021 Legalis. This might be a bit difficult to hear, especially for rockshore or boat fishing. Just from manually turning it, it feels like the drag is smoother than before. Well, let's wrap up the impression here and move on to testing it outside. Since this is a tough use reel, I took it out for boat fishing. I'll be reviewing it with the assumption of casting game from a boat. The rod I'm using for this is the APIA GRANDAGE NAVAL SEAFARER S76M, a boat casting rod designed for spotted mackerel casting game fishing. It's lightweight, strong, and one of my favorites. First up is the metal jig with a blade, the Zeake B-Zapper. The UV-coated color from Zeake is particularly effective in low-light conditions, making it a fantastic jig. The casting feel is very much like other DAIWA reels I've used. The ease of casting with the air drive rotor seems to be slightly less compared to the Zion rotor. Perhaps Zion 5 is heavier than Zion? However, the phenomenon of the line slapping against the spool has been significantly reduced. The line exit has improved. As for retrieval, the reel provides enough power to handle jigs with considerable resistance without any issues. Compared to the monocoque body, the internal space is narrower, so the drive gear is likely 1 or 2 sizes smaller, which results in some performance trade-offs. Nonetheless, it feels sufficiently powerful for practical fishing needs. Regarding the winding feel, it's not outstandingly excellent. Compared to the 21 Legalis, you can still sense a slight feeling of the gears engaging with each other. It's not something that disrupts fishing, but when compared to higher-end models, it's noticeable to a degree. Did you hear that just now? I think you heard a slapping sound. This is the sound unique to DAIWA reels, where the line hits the spool ring. I've deliberately amplified the sound to make it more noticeable, but it feels like it's been better controlled compared to before. Now, let's try some jerking techniques. Yes, handling is not an issue at all. There's no particular stress involved. The body is made of aluminum alloy, which makes it quite robust. However, DAIWA's drag tends to be quite responsive, so even if you set it to be fairly tight, it might slip a little under the load of jerking. Overall, it's not a reel that offers the fun and superior feel of higher-end models. However, in terms of practical fishing performance, it provides the necessary and sufficient capabilities. Next, let's try casting a lipped minnow with more pulling resistance, the ValleyHill Air Deep 67S. This lure dives from shallow to mid-range depths and is available in 2 sizes. The vibrations from the lure are clearly transmitted to the hand. The metal reel foot is sturdy, preventing any wobbling, and allows for a solid retrieve. Considering the price range of the Lexa, it seems to offer more than enough functionality. The screw-in handle is also a nice feature. With the shafted handle, I sometimes feel that the force during reeling isn't fully transmitted, but this Lexa model doesn't have that issue at all. Of course, as I've mentioned several times, there are clear differences compared to higher-end models. I actually recorded a comparison video with the Certate, but the differences were so apparent that I chose to omit it. After all, comparing a reel that is over twice the price seems somewhat pointless. Yes, I really like the Air Deep and use it often. It's great for casting and retrieving in shallow water like a bass shad, and it works well for reaction bites during jerking. Designed for saltwater use, it has a wide speed range and performs excellently even at high speeds during trolling, effectively grabbing and swimming through the water. The next lure is the SHIMANO World Clank 73 Flash Boost, which was also used in the Certate review. It's a slightly larger crankbait with a diving depth of around 3 meters, making it a high appeal lure. The pulling resistance is even stronger than the previous lure. When there's this much resistance, you do need a certain amount of power to turn it, but there are no particular issues. Of course, it's not as powerful as something like the Certate, where you can really crank it. But with the Lexa, it's not difficult to reel in either. It has enough winding power to control the lure properly, even against the resistance caused by a large lip. Although they have different names and appearances, the Legalis and Exceller are almost the same reels. These two are likely designed as low-cost global strategic models, engineered for versatile, lightweight use. On the other hand, the Lexa is a model that's derived from these, and based on my experience, it feels like the Legalis body made with aluminum alloy and equipped with mag sealed. Perhaps due to the presence of mag sealed, the winding feels a bit heavier. However, to be honest, it doesn't necessarily feel stronger. Due to the difference in materials, the Lexa is also heavier, which makes it better balanced with stronger rods developed for boat fishing. The NAVAL SEAFARER weighs 130 grams, so it's not heavy at all. Yet, despite this, it feels robust and solid, with enough power to handle mahi-mahi, long-tail tuna, and Spanish mackerel. When matched with this rod, the Lexa feels more fitting than the Legalis. Next, I'll try using a lure with relatively light resistance. It's the Whiplash Factory Flutterin'Wire 75 FP, which I also used in the Certate review. This high-appeal lure attracts fish with the sound and ripples from its propeller, as well as the flashing of the metal plate. This lure is relatively lightweight and doesn't have strong resistance, but of course it works without any issues. However, if I had to point something out, when using lures with light resistance or going for finesse fishing with soft plastics, the lighter weight and slightly lighter reeling of the Legolas might be easier to use. The Lexa has a slightly heavier start when reeling and feels a bit more inertia in the rotation compared to the Legolas, so the sensation of the lure's pull transmitted to your hand is slightly less sharp than with the Legolas, just a little bit. If you're looking to get multiple reels in this price range, it might be a good idea to differentiate their use. The Legolas for smaller sizes and fishing where sensitivity is key, like in rivers or freshwater. And the Lexa for tougher fishing where waterproof performance and the durability of the metal body are more important. Next, I'll try a metal jig. It's the Zeake Slow Jig, the S-Bit 30 grams. This jig is designed for slow jigging from the shore, with excellent casting distance and enticing action. The current at this spot on that day was extremely fast. Even after casting about 50 meters, by the second jerk, the jig was already under the boat, so honestly, it wasn't an ideal situation for actual fishing unless you had tackle that could handle heavier jigs. Still, I cast a lot to get a feel for the reel. And at least in this strong current, even with a slow jig that tends to create more resistance, the reel didn't lose any power. In the past, with cheaper reels, you would often encounter some distortion in such situations, making it difficult to reel in. But that wasn't the case here. One interesting thing I noticed is that even with the drag set fairly tight, the drag lightly clicked when I jerked the jig. With Shimano reels, if the drag was set at a similar tightness, it wouldn't click at all. It seems that the ATD drag system is designed to let the line out smoothly during a fish's sudden run, but maybe the load from jerking the jig is similar to a fish's run, causing the drag to engage slightly. However, the gears are made of zinc. While they likely have some durability-enhancing coating under the tough DigiGear branding, it remains to be seen how durable they will be with frequent use, especially for shore jigging. For lighter use, this shouldn't be much of an issue, but it's unclear at this stage how they'll hold up under more demanding conditions. That said, the Lexa is an affordable model, so it might be a good idea to start with it as an entry-level reel for boat fishing. Then, if you encounter any issues and want to take things more seriously, you could upgrade to a higher-end model. Alternatively, it might be a good choice for kids who are starting boat fishing with their parents. Finally, let me share a scene where I hooked a fish. I went casting game for mahi-mahi using the B-Zapper, which I used earlier. The sea was quite calm that day, with little current, so the drag sound was fairly audible. However, to be honest, I wish the sound was a bit more satisfying. That said, it's great that DAIWA reels have such smooth drags even in this price range. After using it, I noticed that with the previous ATD, the line would slip out more easily, but with the ATD Type L, it has a bit more resistance. Still, when the fish makes a sudden run, the drag lets the line out smoothly, handling the situation well. On the other hand, for those used to Shimano reels, the DAIWA drag might feel like it lets out too much line without stopping. At least during the fight with this mahi-mahi, I never felt worried about a line break. I think it's quite impressive. Conclusion. The DAIWA 2023 Lexa is a solid spinning reel with high-cost performance relative to its price. The 2023 Lexa offers high-cost performance for a reel priced in the 20,000 yen range, featuring an aluminum alloy body and a Xion V air drive rotor, providing ample rigidity and a good feel of use. The smoothness of the drag at this price range is particularly impressive. Regarding durability, the gear material and the presence of a reverse lever mean we still need more time to fully assess it. However, it hasn't shown any signs of breaking down after 2 or 3 offshore trips. It's a reel that offers more than enough performance for an entry-level offshore or light jigging setup. However, the winding feel is commensurate with its price, and you can somewhat feel the grinding sensation from the gears. Compared to Shimano reels in the same price range, the Lexa might lag slightly in texture and winding stability. Additionally, although the Lexa has become smoother and lighter compared to the previous model, it still feels slightly heavier and with stronger inertia for an air drive rotor-equipped reel. I had assumed it used the same air drive rotor as the Legalis, but perhaps it's different? The bail is not a one-piece bail, but after numerous casts, there were no issues, and no line troubles were caused by the bail. Overall, as mentioned earlier, this reel offers more than enough performance for an entry-level setup. However, for fishing with a 6000 series reel using PE3 line and targeting larger fish, it might not be suitable. Personally, I would use the Lexa 4000 CXH or 5000 CXH with PE 1.5 or 2 lines up to 300 meters, targeting fish that can be handled with that setup. For lighter fishing, the Legalis's lighter weight might provide an advantage. I hope this video serves as a useful reference, and I believe selecting gear that you personally like and find good will enhance your fishing experience. I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. Once the channel becomes monetized, we might even consider holding a giveaway. If you have any requests for reviews of specific items, please let me know in the comments. However, please note that reviews will generally be limited to JBM, Japanese domestic market gear. I hope you get a little closer to catching your dream fish. Thank you for watching.